IVM.
Hello one, hello all. Welcome to the Diary of the Traveling Professor. And I'm Siddharth Deshmukh, your friendly neighborhood traveling professor himself. And on this very cold day in London, post-Diwali, when we are all digesting our laddus and jalebis and karanja, if you're Marathi, and stuff like that, and trying to get our weights back on track, I have a few thoughts in store for you. And I just wanted to share them with you, considering the fact that, it's Diwali and let the wonderful light of things spread out and the rest of it. One of the thoughts that I did have was, is there a way in which we can kind of look at the holy horses, or I don't know, holy cows, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, basically things that we hold sacred, and kind of re-examine them? The way in which what they mean to us. One of the thoughts that I did have was to look at the whole concept of target audience a little differently. Now, especially if you're a startup, or if you're a new initiative, or if you're a launch of a new product or service, we do take our target audience very seriously. We look at it demographically, we look at it psychographically. We want to make sure that it is a target audience that we can use to scale up. So it's quite possible that we pilot it in one place, but we want to make sure that we get more and more of those people across places, and so on and so forth. And while all of that is good, I heard something of Seth Godin, who I truly admire as a marketer. I heard something that he said very recently on another podcast. I think it was the one with Tim Ferriss, which left an indelible mark on my mind, and I thought I wanted to share that with you. By the way, if you're listening to it, you can hear a nice plane and train going on at the same time as I'm making my podcast. So I will make sure that the train goes off in the distance and I continue with my thoughts. I ruminate with my thoughts. So here they are. That term that he used was something called smallest viable audience, or minimum viable audience. Now, we've all heard of minimum viable product. Now, minimum viable product is a very interesting term, because it says that what is the minimum amount or set of features that you need to have and in order for your product to be viable to your target audience. And that's a good term to know. But smallest viable audience, I love this term. It actually says, okay, so you're launching something, and what is the smallest possible audience that you need to garner and convert into your customers in order for you to be viable as an initiative or a business or a launch or anything else. And a lot of times, a lot of us don't calculate that. What we calculate is the larger scale, and we calculate the speed at which we're going to grow, and we calculate what the number of features for our minimum viable product, and so on and so forth. But we don't really say, actually, to be honest, I just need 10,000 customers for the book that I'm writing, for example. And that will make sure that I turn in a profit, and that will make sure that I kind of connect to the aim, the financial goals that I wanted to have. Now, this is such a beautiful concept, this concept of smallest viable or minimum viable audience, that it can be utilized by anybody. It can be utilized by a CEO who's directing a new product launch, or the CMO, for instance. Or it could be by a startup who's trying to figure out how to stay in business, especially in pandemic times. Or it could be by a brand manager who's just going to do something around a new initiative for kind of relaunching the brand. There's so many different ways in which you can use this term. This term allows you to actually breathe a little free, because it kind of creates possibilities. It also creates a feeling that, oh, okay, my metrics need to be re-examined. And there are a lot of startups, to be honest, who come and meet me and say they have these dreams with stardust in their eyes. But the first thing that I would literally recommend them is, what is your smallest viable audience? How many customers do you need to get on your side before you can call yourself a successful initiative, right? What is the profit margin that you hope to have? What is the kind of, paying it forward that you need your customers to do and talk to other customers. So then they suddenly become the right kind of metric, and they can all be linked to the smallest amount of customers that you're willing to live by. In fact, I like to ask this question in a different way. Suppose everything goes to pot, but you still have a set of customers. How many customers do you need in order for you to keep going without actually losing your shirt in the business or in the initiative that will help you happily move ahead? I think we all need to know that number and then try to cross it. But knowing that number will set us free. It'll set us free not only financially, but it will also set us free psychologically, because then we are looking at the right metric wherein we can have an impact on our lives, on, the kind of impact that we have on the world, but not just the world, but also, on our personal lives, because it will allow us to breathe free and actually do other interesting things with our lives rather than just chase after more and more customers. How's that for a new Diwali thought? I think that we need to think differently in terms of business and in marketing. And I'm not talking about suddenly becoming a socialist here. I'm saying, yes, we need to be capitalists, or we need to be free marketing people or free market people, but with our eyes open and not follow blind rules that are set by people of yore. I hope you like this diary entry of mine. Just a new thought to start the new year with, because, Diwali, New Year, etc. And if you like diary entries like this, well, there's many more to come from The Traveling Professor. You can follow me on Instagram or on LinkedIn. And if you like podcasts like these, then go to ivmpodcast.com or just download the app, or just go to the place that you find your favorite podcasts at. Until next time then, guys, until next time.
I hope you enjoyed that show. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Want to wish you all a happy Diwali. Hope you had a great festive season. It's been a great week in terms of the kinds of guests we've had and the kind of conversations we've had on the network this week. Do definitely check some of these things out. On This Round's on Me with Gauri Devidayal, she had a great conversation with Garima Arora, who's one of the best-known chefs in the world. It was just absolutely riveting. Do check that out. On States of Anarchy, Hamsini Hariharan spoke about chronicling India's different wars. Again, really interesting episode. Check that out. Ashton had a very interesting episode on his show, The Habit Coach. It was called I Don't Feel Like Doing Anything. It's about how to overcome malaise just generally, and I thought really, really interesting stuff. Kumi Veana was the guest on Cyrus Says on Monday's episode last week, and she's an educator, and my God, it was such a fascinating conversation talking about the way education functions in India and some of the changes she'd like to see. Just really, really interesting stuff. Do give that a listen. On Uncle Please Sit, Anupam Manur was there with Joel and Tushar talking about the Indian economy, part one of a two-part series. Second part will be out this week. You should definitely check that out. Lastly, I want to talk to you all about the Filter Coffee podcast. Karthik Nagarajan, who hosts that show, is on a little bit of a break. He's back with a banger of an episode. It is with Himura Maya, who used to run Landmark Stores, and they talk about the culture of bookstores and quizzing and all kinds of stuff. Really interesting conversation. Do check that out. And with that, I hope to see you again next week.
पेश खिदमत है आपकी शान में हमारे अंजुमन से. Hi, I am Sadaf.
And I'm Arshit. खाने का इतिहास, economics, policy, psychology, सब है मेन्यू पे.
Only on the Nankali podcast every Wednesday, सिर्फ IVM podcast app या वेबसाइट पर, या फिर जहां से भी आप अपने पॉडकास्ट सुनते हो.